Finish each other's sandwiches. It's a quote from our favorite show. Finish each other's sandwiches. So now we claim it for our own. 'Cause we always think the same. So for now, that's the name.
All right, we're recording.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Do you see
I
this?
can't hear you back at home.
Do you see this? Because now we have visual. Do you see this? Do you see us?
This is just, a trial. He just now did this, so.
Brand new idea. I was like, well, fuck it. We have a GoPro. Let's just try it. She has bunny slippers, and this is
And a
finish each
10-year-old
other's sandwiches.
sandwich.
We're just gonna do a podcast today.
Sorry.
Since it was just Halloween, we're just gonna like kind of be Halloween themed.
Don't say just Halloween. No, I don't. It's not just Halloween.
I
no.
mean, it is.
It
just
is.
Halloween.
Who cares about Halloween? It was just Halloween.
If any holiday is just a holiday,
Yeah.
it's Halloween.
I know Halloween is.
It's okay.
It's not that. Yeah, it's cool for people. I just thought we had this idea.
It's good for kids.
Yeah,
For kids.
like for children.
little kids.
Yes,
They get candy.
that was who we saw trick or treating.
Candy.
And then they were like, adults taking off work to do it.
Yeah.
So the other day I had this idea. Should we just talk about it?
Yeah. We'll do it. We have a new segment. We're gonna do
Just,
segments
just
now.
an idea. Where should I look? Where should I look? So weird.
Let's just
I'm
be
just joking. I'm just joking. We were thinking. I was thinking maybe I could write about like a history piece because we try to do stand up comedy, and I was
No,
like,
we don't.
well, maybe we tried
We
to do
did
it
it
before,
once.
and
once.
we wrote a bunch of jokes.
We did, but we only tried it once.
I know, and so we tried to do it, and I was gonna get to the point that we weren't sure like how to execute it, like
Once.
which is also how many times you've won air hockey.
No.
So
Several.
barely. No,
Several.
it's not true. Let me just finish this preface.
Go ahead.
Preface. I'm trying to eat my preface.
This is my preface.
But now I like lost my train of thought. So whatever. Anyway, I
Segment.
wrote a segment.
There's gonna be a segment, and it's gonna be called Teaching Joey.
And all I was thinking was that I could write like about different times in history, but like simplify it. Not like drunk history, but kind of just like be sarcastic and like.
Well, no, you have to basically. You're gonna explain it to me.
Yeah.
But I need
I'm
to
gonna
be explained.
explain it to you.
I need to be explained to like a child.
Yeah. Explain to me like I'm 5.
You can't be talking in big words. I'm not gonna get it.
You can't be using words, numbers, actual historic references.
The whole point was that I can learn if comedy's involved.
Yes.
All my favorite teachers made jokes about things, and that was how I remembered things. I said how Eddie Izzard's stand-up was the first time I like understood history because it was all based on this comedy, and I was like, oh, I get this. I remember all these facts because it was put into jokes. So I was like, well, there's a lot of things I don't know. I wasn't good in school, so how about you just teach me things like that you know a lot about, I don't know anything about, but do it in terms that I can understand.
Right.
Use some jokes in there, otherwise I'll never understand.
So I kind of just like wrote down a little like bullet point, description of something, and then I don't know. I haven't. There's another page.
A little thing?
Yeah.
Just a little thing.
That's not a lot, and it's not even a proper
That's
APA MLA format.
That's unbelievable. All right. Well, if we waste more time, we're never going to get to all this.
No, of course. So we thought since it was Halloween, I would explain the Salem Witch trials.
Welcome.
I
miss the drum pad.
I know. Oh, you got the groove.
You got the groove.
So anyway, Salem Witch trials. Okay. Ew, stop. So the Salem Witch trials, and I'm just gonna look down at my paper because I didn't memorize my lines. Welcome back to Teaching Joey.
No, I have to write like a
exactly.
quick like Teaching Joey.
I totally think of it as being like the song that would play before like an 80s sitcom show. It's like
yeah. Just with a drum fill leading into it.
like,
Okay.
Right.
So this is Teaching Joey.
This is Teaching
And,
Joey.
now teach me.
And that's Joey. All right. So the Salem Witch trials happened between 1692 and 1693. This isn't the part that you need to remember. I was just giving a frame of reference.
You've already lost me.
So to put this into your mind, at the same time that like women were actively being murdered in the street, Sir Isaac Newton was like developing physics and things that were actually helping the world, and like things that were going to further us, and not just like bigotry.
Not just like burn women.
Not
to
just
the
like,
ground.
hey, you look like a witch. Like, I'm totally not a witch. Like, but didn't you have a divorce? Like, yeah, I guess. But he was like abusing me. Witch!
Witch! She's a
She's a witch. So yeah, that's what they were doing in America, and that's what they were doing in England.
These are numbers, something 16 something. See,
yeah.
I've already lost it.
No, that
But
doesn't.
continue.
That I was just frame of reference. So we know about this, even though it happened like hundreds of years ago, because the white guys who committed these crimes and actively carried this out over the course of a year were confident enough that they could get away with blatant murder that they're like, we should like chronicle this and write about it and put it in the history books, and actually let's like tell more people about it and write books about it, because yeah, we can do whatever the we want.
I mean, it's pretty awesome that we get to burn women, so like maybe we should tell more people about it, because then they're gonna want to do it. It's a pretty fun
maybe they just didn't think of this yet. Like maybe we should help other people think about this. So they were totally like, it's like, yo, write this down. Let me break it down for you, because we're totally going to murder all these divorced women and black people. And then they were like, I got you right here. Like, no problem. So anyway, this was basically inspired by this guy who wrote this book about like modern witchcraft. And his whole theory was you should believe in demons and witches, because if you don't, that's saying you don't believe in God, because believing in God is believing that there's good and evil. And it's like, so it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
But
so,
like,
well, I don't
literally
believe in that, but I do believe in God. They're like, you can't do that. You can't do both.
It's like, well, okay, so I'll believe in witches. It's like, why do you want to think about witches? Like, why are you like learning about witches? But you said I should. Like, why is it? I don't understand what you're saying. And since men were the only people allowed to learn how to like read and write, basically women didn't know about these things. So all the men were sitting around in their little like sexist book club, like reading about like witches.
This is the sexist book club.
Yeah.
No women allowed.
Which is way different than the sexy book club. That's something completely
Only
different.
women allowed.
Right, only women. But there's no reading, like, because they can't. They just sit around. But anyway, so they were like sitting around and they were like, well, you know what? Like this book that this guy wrote is like really interesting. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. We haven't been doing a lot since we like persecuted all those Native Americans years ago. And it's like, yeah. And he's like has a paddle in his hand. He's like, dunk, dunk. And he's like, what should we do next? It's like, we should totally like murder all these women. Like,
oh, God.
and they're like, yeah, like let's do that. And it's like, but we just need something to back us up. And thank God this guy wrote this book that like totally helps us think that they should believe in demons and that there are demons, and we can just make shit up as we go.
Right.
So whatever. So let me just like see where we should go next. So so after this they had like, this is when they like had like totally persecuted the Indians, and like as a frame of reference for like political things, they didn't really have any like township. They only had like townships. Like there weren't like governors or like really any rules. Like it was kind of just small little governing areas, and the churches
like
were
the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Right, the Commonwealth, yeah. But they were mostly ruled by like ministers and like reverends and stuff. So this one little area of Salem was ruled by this guy Samuel Parrish, and he was basically the only guy that was alive and capable to like rule at that time, which was the only reason he was put in charge. And he was like
the only one.
Yeah, they're like, you're the only person who can read and you kind of like know theology,
Oh, okay.
so I guess you'll do it. And then his like history, like people who knew him were like, I don't know, that guy really overreacts about things. And they're like, it'll be fine, whatever. And so then as like the Commonwealth was starting to get together, they're like, okay, like this will just be temporary. Like we'll just put this guy in charge, but like, don't you do anything while we're not looking. And they're like, we promise. And then they're like looking at the book. But yeah, so that's basically what happened. So they were elected or whatever. So,
but how was he elected? They were just like,
They
did he
just-
run like for?
there was like somebody else before him and he died, and then like a congregation got together a little bit and were like, but then mostly like other people who were just other white guys in power were like,
Right.
yeah, just like
Let this guy do
you
it.
kind of live over here
Okay.
and we live over here, so whatever. So they're like, he's crazy, he punishes people way too harshly, so obviously you
Put
can
him in power.
forget it. So Cotton Mather, he was like a minister in North Salem. He was this guy who was like, you know, influencing people and stuff. And so he said that this child of this like well-known man in the town was influenced by witchcraft to steal linens from this old woman in the town. And then her husband had been going around the town being like, my wife's a witch. I don't like my wife. She's old and I want to drink beer. And then they're like, wait a minute. if she's a witch and he stole from her, maybe she cast a spell on him and
Oh my
made him want to steal from her, and he's influenced by the devil. And everyone was like, obviously
That makes
sense. Yeah, like, why didn't you say that before? He's not a 14-year-old just looking for shit to do because he lives in the 1600s.
He said that one word I remember. Witch. She's a witch. Everything's a witch.
Everything's a witch. So yeah,
If it doesn't make sense, it's a witch.
if I don't understand it and I'm intimidated by it, it must be a witch.
It must be a witch.
So that's basically what happened. So then they basically started just picking on kids and like choosing kids to call witches. Like kids will be kids. Like it's like children.
Like children, I
like
get it.
the youth.
But I didn't know that. They would burn kids?
Yeah, so altogether, and I'll go through
Were they
this.
always little girls?
It was all women, and then they were like, we'll get to the whole
Okay.
the whole organization because I'm trying not to look down at my paper.
Oh yeah.
But
use it.
but basically, so this group of people, like this group of children, the one girl was 9, one was like 12, like really young.
Oh. This
they-
was the big thing.
This was like what started everything. So then
Okay.
that guy did it, and they're like, whatever. That just kind of like started getting the ball rolling, and then
Yeah.
that guy's book and stuff like that. But then these girls who were related to Samuel Parrish, the Reverend, apparently started having like epileptic fits, but they would like. It was described as like thrashing their arms about and yelling and like, just being a kid and
Right.
like, and then they're like, and then they went under the table and they were contorting and stuff. And I don't know. So they could have just genuinely been having epileptic seizures.
Right.
And like all these girls were doing it in his family. So like either his family has a terrible like genetic disorder
Right,
that
right.
everyone was just ignoring because it was the 1600s.
Right.
Or they were just being teenagers and they were acting out.
Right.
Or like,
Many different things.
right. But then they were like, you know what? That's probably because they're witches. And then, even though they're like young children. So it kind of like spread out to the whole town. Like I won't even go into it, but like different parts of the town were feuding and like this family didn't like this family. So from there it just kind of like started boiling over. So like the young ones were like put into prison, and then there was this one woman, Tituba, who was I'm trying.
No, I'm just gonna move it because I
Thank
see where
you.
your head is.
I know. Where's your head at?
Where's your head at? Alright,
Ew,
go ahead.
stop it. I don't want people to be able
You're in
to
the middle
see
of
me.
it. Go.
I know. So, yeah, I want to make sure I didn't forget anything. Witching ain't easy. Yeah, everyone in Reverend Parris's family had a crippling epileptic
Right.
disorder. They were just regular teenage girls. Yeah, so they were yelling and thrashing about, and they were probably just acting out and playing, but people, like, took it way too seriously. So then, like, at that time, like, a group of women, those girls, this woman, like, Sarah Good, who was just... She was a vagrant in the town. Like, she didn't have a home, and she went around begging for help. And they're like, well, we're godly people, and we should be practicing the word of charity. But you're different, so you're a witch. And, like, that's, then they put her in prison.
Right.
And then there was this woman, Sarah Osborne, who had been divorced because, like, her husband... Something about her husband, but he had taken like all her money, so she divorced him, but she remarried a black guy, like a slave, and they were like, witch. So then she was in prison, and then this woman Tituba, who was a slave in the family for Samuel Parrish, she was Haitian, so she had like books on voodoo and like different things, and they saw her like dancing, and they're like, that's different, that's one of them other cultures, like a witch. And so she was in prison, but like she would teach the girls things, like the girls in that family, she was the slave to the first girls who were having the fits, and they were like intrigued by it. So if you think about it, it was kind of like a peer influence thing where this big group of people, it could have been a few different things, like just acting out and being teenage girls, and they were all like kind of between the ages of like 9 and 16, and then there were really, really young kids, and then a few older people, but mostly like, they didn't have anything to do. They were probably just like thinking it was funny to like, F with the adults. And then, some of the girls could have genuinely had like mental disorders, like bipolar.
They didn't know what that was,
and then they weren't really paying attention to it before, but if they were like young adults, it hadn't come into fruition yet, so they didn't know about it.
Anybody at that time that would have had any kind of mental disorder, like they're a witch. Like
exactly.
That's like the only explanation they had for anything that was different.
Right.
So.
Witch, God, and like, whatever.
Yeah.
They had an affliction, but But yeah, so
They had an affliction shirt.
right. They kept wearing affliction clothes. And speaking of clothing, there was one other woman who had her cape. She was brought into jail because her cape was cut in 2 ways. So nobody had seen the way she had worn her cape. Like, she wore all black, and she like cut her cape in a weird way.
What cape? Who wears capes?
She had like a shawl, but it was a cape, and they're like, you cut your cape in 2 ways. That's
they're wearing.
weird.
They're walking around wearing capes, and they're calling other people witches. Like, I
know.
don't understand.
I know. And they're like, why does she wear all black? That's not puritanical. And I don't know. Some women just had like opinions or like said things
Right.
or like, I don't know. She wasn't pure enough.
Spoke out of turn.
Right. And she dared like, speak in public or like didn't go to church one day or
Right.
something. And so it was pretty stupid. But so I just want to see where I am now. Lots of people were accused. So it was 20 people who were altogether accused, 14 of them women, and then they all died by hanging except one person. She was 81. They didn't know, they weren't able to like technically prosecute her, so they went back in the books and they found this old law where they would stack so many stones on your chest until you stopped breathing. Like, they effing did that sadistic shit. And they're like,
I mean, yeah.
they're like, let's slowly suffocate this woman to death. For God.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's okay.
That's
No big deal.
insane.
I know. I hope I'm not skipping over my jokes because I'm reading too quickly. But,
1600s. I mean, like, that's...
if you really think about
I can't
it,
think about, like, I can't even think of what it was like in the 70s because I wasn't alive. So I can't,
know.
It's hard for me to wrap my head around
The
any
thing
kind of
was
like
they
that.
didn't
So
have
I
a
can't
lot-
relate. Like, I can't be
Right.
like, I'm just like,
Course.
they didn't understand the world, but they only knew as much as they could.
they knew the world that was around them, but like really, and I have more I'll say, but like, I mean, the whole thing was that they went to this other country where there was really like a fresh slate, and they went based on the idea of religion and freedom
Right.
of religion, but only their religion,
Yeah.
and then
freedom of their religion.
freedom of just their thoughts. Yeah, freedom of only the men in their group, like, and
We don't like England. We want to get out there.
yeah,
We're gonna go over here and just do the same thing.
yeah, right, and then there weren't a lot of people governing it, and like what I was saying before was like they had started 2 wars with separate groups of Native Americans, and England was like, you guys like really have to stop. Like, can you just make your homes there and like just
Knock it
settle out?
off.
Like, because technically they were still under Britain's rule at that time. And then they were like, okay, fine, we'll stop. Okay, like, fine. And they're kicking rocks. I don't want to stop persecuting Native Americans. And they're like, you really... don't you want to like make jobs and like
the whole
establish
point was
churches?
to establish your own
But
life.
pillaging is so much fun.
But it's so easy
yeah,
to take from people that are calm and nice and don't want to fight back.
pillaging ain't easy, basically. So during that time, like England was like talking to them, and that was when they were trying to set up the whole establishment. So in the meantime, that's why they gave these people the littlest bit of power, and then they completely exploited it.
Yeah.
And then that's what happened. But so Cotton Mather was the guy who was like the reverend in the beginning. And he said basically, he's like, he wrote something before the trial. And he's like, don't believe anyone because the devil can like inhabit any person's body. Even
So
the most-
everyone's can be lying at any time.
He's like, hey guys, like you pretty much have been taking everything I say and blowing it like way out of proportion. So I thought I would like exacerbate my point and say, you guys you can't trust anybody. You don't know, even the most virtuous person could be the devil. It's like, okay, well,
What about him?
What about you? Does that
Yeah.
mean he's like, no, totally not me because I'm a man. And they're like, yeah, you're right. Like, totally not me.
No, not me. I mean, I'm a man, so of course we're not
No.
witches. Only women are witches.
Right. And then he was like, so then they came up. One man was, John Proctor was convicted of being a witch. But then Cotton Mather said, well, it's said that anybody inhabited with the devil cannot say the Lord's Prayer. So they're like, walk through the whole town and say the Lord's Prayer. And he's like, I got this. And he like walked through the whole town and said the Lord's Prayer and gave like the most heartwarming confession and said all these things. And they're like, you're totally fine to go. Like,
Yeah.
all the girls were like, why didn't you have us do that before?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
we could have totally said that. Like,
Yeah,
this isn't a big deal. And then one of their girls said it and they're like, not good enough. And they buried her in a shallow grave. Like, so,
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, so, the New England judges, like, at this time, like, a lot of people had been like killed and like they were just killing people and, or some people were dying in prison, and it was like around April. So, because it went on for like a year or whatever. Oh, don't get bored by my story.
I mean, you lost me. Go
No,
ahead.
no. So the New England judges, like the guys that were like higher up in Massachusetts, were like, "What are they doing over there? Like, are they really just like killing all these people?" It's like, yeah, they totally are. Like, we should make them stop. And they're like, "All right, fine." And they're like, take your time. Like, if you're persecuting these people, like, can you just run it by us before you do anything? Like, can you just like send us
Just
a
give us a
copy?
call. It's really easy. There's no
Heads
phones,
up.
but just give us a call.
Right.
Shoot me a text.
Mhm.
Just be like, "Yo, we're gonna persecute these motherfuckers."
Yeah.
And I'll be like,
Yes or
"Okay,
no."
hold up. I need to know some more deets.
Like, it's Tinder.
Send me the deets.
Right.
FaceTime me so I can at least know what's going on.
Right. Like, let me know, like, it'd be like Tinder for, like, witchcraft. It's like swipe left to not persecute, swipe right to persecute. And it's like all the girls in the town, and it's like their pictures. And then they're like, okay, this is way easier. And they're like, take your time, give it like a month, like, give yourself time to think about it, and like, let us know what you're doing. And they're like, nope, not gonna do it. We're gonna quickly kill all these other people that we have before you stop us from doing it, and
Oh
then
my
we're just gonna
God.
like finish what we started. So that's basically what happened. So then there were more trials, and then I told you about when they piled stones on that one woman's chest who was
Yeah.
a farmer, and she's 81 years old.
So the whole thing was these trials were going on because they stepped in and were like, "No, they have to go to trial."
Well, so they started going to trial in the beginning, but they were basically like done like extremely quickly. They were done
Quickly.
very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah, they were done very quickly, and they were done like a long time, either way too quickly after they were arrested, or the person was in jail for so long that they like were malnourished and died. Excuse me. Now they can see me burping.
Ew.
I know, I drink soda for the first time in like forever, but now I like lost my train of thought. Yeah, so they had trials, but they were done like with multiple people in the room at the
Yeah.
same time. So it was like a few people who had been convicted, and like everybody started yelling out, and like they didn't really Right, mock trial. They didn't really let them like speak. Like, they kind of gave them a chance, and then they're like, well, can you explain like, you know, why this is happening?
And
And
like,
then they
nope,
couldn't.
you're a witch.
Well, so they had ways of testing it, and these are really fun. For example, one is called a witch cake, and a witch cake is, which of course somebody had like, you know, studied this.
Witch cake.
Witch cake. A witch cake is English white magic, and it's when you take rye and flour and mix it together and combine it with the urine of the accused witch.
What?
Wait a minute. Gets weirder. So these people were the ones persecuting
Yeah,
these
yeah,
women.
yeah.
Let's just remember that
Are
they
they
thought
making
of
this up as they go along?
Yeah, seriously. It's rye, wheat, urine of the afflicted woman, and then they make a dog eat it. And if a dog eats it, the witch will be like hurt by it because it's like consuming
What?
part of their body. So this is like the effed up lofty.
How did they even get that? Like, where did that come
They're
from?
like, hey, can I just borrow some of your urine? I just really want to make this cake. And
that
they're like,
just
you
seems
think I'm
so
weird?
intricate.
No, I know.
That's so, I don't know.
You know, a witch cake.
I could be like, oh, I hit them on the head and then they're dead. And if they're not dead, then they're a witch. Like, I can understand something
Right,
retarded like that.
right.
But that goes into way more detail than I could ever.
Rye wheat, like that's just
like, it has to be- yeah,
disgusting.
that's
and then
just-
they made a dog eat it. Like,
Oh, poor puppy.
I know, it's terrible. And that was definitely a reason. One other thing was like the touch test, and the touch test was if the person was having like an episode, another afflicted person could touch them and then they would stop. But if you know that that's the trick, then
Right.
so that's the scientific backing on that. While at the same time, Sir Isaac Newton is like actually proving
Right.
scientific things. These guys are like, you know what? Let's make cake out of pea.
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is totally reasonable.
Who wants a pea cake?
Who wants a pea cake?
Anybody? Pea cake?
This girl
Pea
totally
cake?
peed in this rye cake, and we're
Pea
gonna feed
cake?
it to this dog, and everyone's like, yeah, like no big deal. So
Pea cake.
after all this happened, Massachusetts was like, what the did you guys do while we were setting up the government? I thought we told you to behave. And they're like, we're sorry. It's like, can you not do that? And then they're like, dig up all these bodies, like get these families, like give them proper graves. And they started like having to make laws against like, don't accuse people of witchcraft.
Don't just burn people to the
Don't
ground.
make
yeah.
cakes out of pea.
Yeah.
Like, don't do these things.
Like, I can't believe we have to write this down onto paper, but don't make cakes out of pea.
and make a dog eat it.
And make a dog eat it, and then bury a woman in a shallow grave. Like, you
Yeah.
can't just do these things. I can't believe I have to tell you that.
Yeah.
But you can't do those things.
Did you like take a dart and a bunch of words on the wall and just like throw it and see what sticks? Like, what were you trying to do? So yeah, Massachusetts specifically had to like make up all these very specific laws to this. And then
Are they still like in? I mean, like obviously they still exist, I guess, because
what, witches?
no,
Piss
those
cake?
laws.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, like
they're
it's
written
just,
somewhere in.
oh yeah, of course, and like it's all about like fair trials.
So
And
if I go there and I start making pea cakes, they're gonna be like, whoa, whoa,
whoa, whoa, whoa, yeah,
whoa. That ain't cool.
Yeah, that man is a national treasure.
That man-
Making
yeah.
a pea cake is like wearing blackface in the South.
They're
Like you
you're
can't
not
do
wicked
it.
smart like me.
Yeah. Wicked smart. Don't say wicked because then they'll think you're a
Oh,
witch
yeah,
too.
That's where Wicked came from. That's why in Boston they say Wicked.
The play Wicked, the Broadway play, is about pea cake
Right.
being eaten
It's
in
but in Boston,
in
but
Boston.
specifically Boston, and they constantly say how like it's wicked awesome that
Yeah.
they get to eat it.
They're like,
That's what
"Man,
it's
this
about."
piss cake is so good, it's wicked awesome." And then now people can enjoy their pea cakes like without being accused of being a witch. In peace.
is the
Enjoy your pea cake in peace.
Is the segment over because this is no longer true things?
Yeah. Oh
Can
no,
we-
this is not history.
Can we verify the fact that we've immediately made jokes and gone on to non-true things?
We'll just have a disclaimer going across the screen that'll be like not factual,
segment
not factual.
over. No longer are we talking about facts.
Yeah.
So you taught me. Do we want to do like a test? Like you want to test me on the knowledge? So
Oh,
you can
I
see if-
wanted to make a Tatuba joke. Girls just want to have fun. I had a ton of jokes in here, but I didn't want to like.
You didn't
I
do
just-
any of them.
I made my jokes
I know
off
you
the
did.
off the cuff.
Ew, off the ripped gross cuffs.
But yeah, I was like, oh, Tatuba was just teaching these girls things, and she's like, let the she's Haitian. She's like, let the girls have fun. Girls just want to have fun. Girls just want to eat fish cake.
Ew, girls just want to eat piss cake. But the girls don't eat. The dogs do.
No, right? The
Dogs just want to eat piss cake. Girls just want to have fun to the tune of dogs just want to eat piss cake.
Bitches love piss
Dogs
cake.
just want to eat piss cake.
And I hate the word piss.
Ew, I know, it's gross.
But who like
no,
I don't know. I can't get past that. So yeah, anyway, these dudes totally got away with it, and they're like, let's write down this in detail on ink and paper, which is already in minimal supply during this day and age. They
And again,
hand wrote it.
Only guys can do it.
Yes.
So it was like men are like making laws against women, and like, well, it's a law now. They're like, well, you're the only one that can make law.
Of course.
And it's like, so, but it's what we say goes. Like,
of course. And it's like, oh, well, if you don't believe in the devil, then you're Satanistic. But if you do believe in these demons, you're suspicious. It's like, what are you talking about? So yeah, and this wasn't too long ago. Like this, I don't know that math.
that's way long ago enough for me to be like, all right, that's in the past.
It is long ago, but it's not like when I think of biblical things, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty messed up because
Right.
that's several thousand years ago or a couple thousand years ago.
It's only
But
a few
this stuff
hundred.
is like, like you can like go,
400.
we can go back and visit these sites and be like, yeah,
No,
like.
I mean, I understand that.
And
I
people
guess-
think it's funny, but these were all hangings and like,
Yeah.
just putting stones on people.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone's like, but let's make a new country because that king was taxing us.
Right.
Like, you're killing people.
And to be honest, like men still
TBH.
rule the country, and they,
Mhm.
women are still oppressed. So it's like it is not that far away because it still feels like that something similar like
Yes.
that could easily happen.
It's just a variation on a
They
theme.
could just be like, you're wrong because you're a woman.
Well, with
and,
healthcare, it's like, well, you can't really control this because there's more of us that can control than you.
right?
So, like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's still pretty much like that.
So
Well, I
it's
mean,
dumb.
we're at like 28 minutes, so we might as well just wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
We didn't. So this was
Oh.
supposed to be about Halloween, but it was really about the Salem Witch trials.
I'll close in on my joke that I was gonna make about take my wife, stake my wife.
Stake my wife.
So like I had
She's
a
a
bunch.
witch.
There's gold buried in these words.
All right, well, use some of them.
So the guy who in the beginning was like, he was going around the town. He's like, my wife. He's like, well, I'll make him like from New York.
Okay.
Even though
Is he? Yeah, Boston.
but even though he was pretty much probably born in England.
Right,
But
right,
yeah.
right.
Oh no, I did make him have a British accent before. So he's like, this bloke over here stole my wife's linens and blankets, and she's a witch. That woman is. She's so old. And then he's like, oh, take my wife. He's like, she's a witch. Let's put my wife on the stake. Stake my wife. And they're like, this guy's funny. Kill her.
Kill
Like,
That's a pretty good joke, but no, really, stake her and kill her.
No, but really, string her up right now. And then they're all like, Boston.
Boston, Boston.
And then Leonardo DiCaprio in The Departed.
Yeah, that's Mark Wahlberg's house.
Yeah.
That's Mark Wahlberg's house.
Forget Everything You Know About the Crucible by Arthur Miller, which is a completely inaccurate play. And I'm going to make eye contact when I say that with all 4 of my eyes. That it's completely inaccurate play. And it pretty much says
I
that,
know
like,
nothing about it. Well,
it's a
that'll be a
stupid-
whole nother teaching
yeah,
Joey.
it's a stupid play that basically is like, well, these women were like sleeping with these men in the village and whatever. And yeah, totally not true. But it can be more like depicted as The Departed, and a movie reenacted with Goodwill Hunting
Yeah.
with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Mark Wahlberg
And Mark Wahlberg. Featuring Mark Wahlberg.
A star-studded cast strictly from Massachusetts.
I had to be like that in The Perfect Storm.
Mm-hmm. Which is out again.
I know they made another Perfect Storm with Mark Wahlberg. So yeah, I don't. We worked on Halloween. We were boring adults, so we didn't get dressed up or anything.
Oh
so,
no, we were
so
effective adults.
this was just us talking about this and trying out a new idea to try and get us to do something a little bit different. We want to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, just something different.
But I
We'll
think
put up
that's
some
it.
pictures that go with this, and
Yeah, we'll just
there's
make
so
a
many
little
funny
post.
things in here.
Well, you should have made those jokes. That's okay. It's too late now. You failed.
I haven't. No, I said
Ask me
most
one
of the
question about this so we can wrap it up and I can learn something.
Jokes. Oh, what was the thing that inspired most of these trials to happen? Like that got all these men thinking about witchcraft.
Like just women doing stealing the linens?
Right, but what happened before that? Like what did these men sit around and look at that made them all think about?
The books.
Yes. Good job. He almost passed.
I passed.
I didn't really make a joke. Well, I did make a joke about
I think
it.
there should be fail pass and I passed.
Yeah.
So you taught
Everything's
me
better
teaching
in
Joey.
black and white. Teaching Joey A plus.
Finish each other's sandwiches.
A plus.
Over and out. Cut.
Cut.
Cut.